This documentary about overcoming life's darkest moments isn't on Netflix, and that's exactly why you need to watch it. Look, I've been through my share of tough times, and I'm tired of watching feel-good fluff that barely scratches the surface. My Silver Lining documentary on lrodvinetwork.com is different. It's raw, real, and completely transformative. This isn't some glossy production designed to make you feel better for 30 minutes. It digs deep into what it actually takes to turn your pain into purpose. The storytelling is so powerful that mainstream platforms wouldn't touch it. But that's their loss and your gain. You get exclusive access to stories that will genuinely shift your perspective on adversity. I watched it 3 times because each viewing revealed something new about resilience. The convenience of streaming it on lrodvinetwork.com means you can pause, rewind, and really absorb these life-changing insights. Don't settle for surface-level inspiration when you can access something that actually moves the needle. Head to lrodvinetwork.com right now and discover the documentary everyone's missing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Thirsty Topics. Hey, Meryl.
Hey. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm really good. I'm really good. The birds outside are chirping. Actually, it's so funny. There's a bird outside my window that's like chirping back at me that it's good too.
Oh, nice. Well, as long as they're not damaging your screens like they did mine one year.
Really?
Yeah, one year I kept hearing a bunch of like ripping and wire. And I looked out my bedroom window. There was a whole bunch of birds ripping up my screen. And I was
No
just,
way.
so I'm like banging on the window to make them all run. I guess they're using that to build their nest, but it wasn't cute. It was pissing me off. So
Oh, that's actually like, I know. Then I feel like you need to go to Home Depot and buy the materials or something for their nest.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But I wasn't a very happy camper then,
That's so sweet though. Thinking that I know it's annoying, but they were being resourceful, trying to build like a nice little mini home for their family.
I'm like, yeah, so all these houses on the block, you had to pick mine, huh?
That's so funny. Okay, well, I'm gonna get right into mine because I'm obsessed, and I really wish we had the full hour to talk about it. Okay, so there's a new documentary out about America's Next Top Model on Netflix called Reality Check: Inside America's Next Top Model, and I am just like completely obsessed with this. It's only 3 episodes, and to me and everyone else, like 3 is not enough. I feel like they left us with just like so much more uncovered, and I feel like they just scraped the surface of what happened on America's Next Top Model. Now I don't know if you watched any not of the Netflix thing, but was the original show something that you ever saw with Tyra Banks?
Actually, I did see a few episodes of that. Yeah, I did.
Okay, so just to give, most people I think have at least heard of it, but basically it was a reality show. It was kind of like The Real World meets Survivor meets like America's whatever singer, the one that Kelly Clarkson won. I forget what that show even is, but basically it was like a bunch of models competing. It was hosted and like executive produced by Tyra Banks. And there was always one model left standing at the end, and each episode would find itself with a new challenge, whether they had to walk on a runway that was like really hard to walk on or get a makeover. And there was a lot of drama out of it just with all the girls. And then now looking back in 2026, a lot of stuff that they had to do turns out to be very problematic, whether it was like weight issues and just, humiliating girls because of their weight, but also, as this documentary exposes, even like the photo shoots, where there was one photo shoot that they did where they had to pose like homeless people, and they had like real homeless people behind them, and they dressed like, like homeless people. And then there was one that they did where the models had to pretend they were druggies. And another one where like it highlighted their own eating disorders. so like some of the actual, themes that they had them do were crazy. And then of course the behind the scenes with like Tyra screaming at them and a few of the girls having to go through like actual cosmetic procedures. There's one girl that talks about they didn't like the gap that she had in her teeth, so she went to the dentist, and like as part of the episode, she got like medical reconstruction surgery on her mouth, and they closed the gap of her teeth, and now she like years later she really regrets it because like that gap was like who she was and a big part of her look, and she listened to the TV show and it didn't really end up resulting in anything. um Now, this does not make Tyra Banks look great, but it does give her a lot of like she's able to explain a lot. But what I liked about this documentary is that it's not like heavily produced by Tyra, so she didn't have the final say on the creative. So they're still able to put in very non-flattering stories and highlights and clips about her.
Yeah, that's true. And I would say to me, there's a few things. One, it just kind of highlighted of some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people aren't aware of in the fashion industry. And I think it also was sad on the other hand. And the reason why I say that is being that Tyra understands what that industry is about, what it can do to women, what it does to their self-esteem. I was kind of hoping that she would take it in a different direction. I mean, if the things that they're saying in this documentary is true, you can kind of make the argument that she's no better than the industry, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like it's so crazy because in one hand, I do believe that Tyra does care about girls beyond herself, and I do feel like some of her intentions are good. Like I don't feel like she's a completely evil person, but it's almost some of her lack of accountability is just mind-boggling. Where she's a lot of times she's like, "Well, I wasn't the person that produced this," and then it like flashes right to the end. Executive producer Tyra Banks. So a lot of times I think she took credit when things were going great for being like the mastermind, but then when things weren't. And I think she just got lost in the sauce a lot. Like, the show did so well and she probably had a lot of pressure and different people. Um, I like after watching this, I can't tell if I think she's like horrible or misunderstood or just like a mixture of both. And then she fired there in the episode they talk about she fired like the three other panelists and people on the show who we all love, like Miss Jay, and then the photographer Nigel Barker. And the way that these three men talk about her, like it seems like they really got their feelings hurt because she just very coldly fired them and then wouldn't speak to a lot of them and just didn't really end things in a very nice, warm way. So I feel like it says a lot that those three are still friends and they have a fractured relationship with her.
Yeah, that is true. And the other thing I always say too is you got to be careful when you're burning bridges because some of those people you step on may be the people you need later on in your career, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I do the special shout out to like some of the models, especially one Danny or Danielle. It was the one that got her teeth fixed. She ended up winning and I thought she was just so beautiful and so like I loved her personality. And I thought it was really interesting what she says about even winning America's Next Top Model. Then when you go back in the industry, you can't really use those photos in your portfolio and you can't really like in fact she got treated differently in a bad way because she won and they viewed her as just a reality star. So winning in a lot of ways for some people was almost like a curse. It didn't really help them out in their actual modeling career. It just made them kind of like a reality star freak.
Yeah, and the problem with those labels is that it could cut you out of opportunities before you even have a chance to even see what they're about, you know?
Totally, totally. And like watching episode 3 when Danny was talking about how Tyra Banks knew this and still didn't help her and how she felt as a black woman, like kind of having a sister not really help you and know the ropes of the inner industry and not like lend a helping hand. It just was like, I don't know, really powerful and really I think the documentary was done like so well.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of a lot of these reality shows. There's some great ones out there, but when you start manufacturing what people see in front of you, it's not a reality show anymore. It's scripted. You know, you can
Yeah.
face it as reality, but if you're telling them you must say this, you must do this, you must, wear this and all that, that's scripted. That's not reality anymore.
Exactly. And I mean, like, I don't blame just Tyra alone for some of the insane photo shoots, like where they're pretending to like throw up on themselves and stuff, but like, because that was just, I feel like that's how a lot of us just accepted TV. And when we look back on like Real World and Fear Factor and just the stuff that I think networks passed as entertainment just was different. But I mean, looking back, I cannot believe it. And like, I watched this show in college and I didn't really, it didn't register to me how like nuts it was.
It's true. That is true. I never did. I mean, I knew of Fear Factor. I tried to watch, I think, one or two episodes, and I couldn't do it. It was just,
I know, me
it's,
too. It's just disgusting. Yeah,
it's stuff that a normal person wouldn't be doing.
me too. I don't want to see anyone like eat a spider or have something crawl all over them. I'm like, I watch TV to disassociate and to like relax. I don't need to be stressed out by it too.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, this next story hopefully doesn't stress some people out, but and this actually surprised me, but Wendy's will be closing hundreds of restaurants.
No.
Wendy's is closing 5%, 5 to 6% of their US restaurants, which is approximately 298 to 358 locations. They'll be doing this in the first half of 2026. These closures follow a weak 2025 fourth quarter, with the company aiming to optimize its footprint as part of a Project Fresh turnaround strategy, focusing on profitability, digital growth, and improving value for customers. Some of the key details for the closings include the company's plan to shut down, again, about 240 to 360 underperforming U.S. restaurants, adding to the 240 locations that's already closed in 2024. The closures are set to occur in the first half of this year, which is 2026. And the reason is following a 11.3 plunge in U.S. sales, Wendy's is shifting its strategy to focus on better value offerings and improving the overall menu. What do you think
Okay.
about this, Meryl?
Oh my gosh. I kind of trust what they're doing. Um, I feel like to me, Wendy's, unless I'm missing some huge scandal that happened, I feel like Wendy's has been pretty steady with like good quality food. They haven't had any like major scandals that I know of. Maybe some silly ones that like frivolous things here and there, but like to me, they've stayed a trusted brand. And I feel like to me, this might be one of the ones that don't signify that they're like flopping or anything, and more just maybe they looked over the numbers and they are just adjusting to like what they need for the future. So I'm
Mhm.
going with this one. I don't think it's like a Red Lobster situation where they're going to be in bankruptcy and need a whole new owner and everything. To me, this seems like maybe just some like a strategic play, and kind of exactly what you said, where it's just like a strategy to kind of simplify things and then move forward in like the newer age.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, there really is no such thing as healthy fast food, but Wendy's came pretty close to it. I mean, they did give you, pretty quality stuff to me that tasted
Yeah.
good. And you didn't feel like you was, eating a box of salt. You actually
Yeah.
something good. So it was very surprising. Um, I mean, obviously, I know that all fast food restaurants took a little bit of a hit because of what's going on in the economy. I didn't think Wendy's was taking that hard of a hit. So I guess this
Exactly.
story really surprised me.
Me too, especially with everyone getting their little frosty keychain where you can like get a little frosty and everything. And so and also to me like the experience of a Wendy's, usually I just go through the drive-through, but I feel like whereas sometimes a McDonald's or a Taco Bell, it seems like their buildings are just like falling apart by the seams. And when you go to drive-through, it's like the drive-through podium is sideways and like to the ground. It just seems like Wendy's a lot of times, their building is intact and like you can hear the person talking through the intercom. So um I think I believe in Wendy's as a big brand, and it seems like this is just maybe what they're forecasting for the future. So um I'm on board with them.
Yeah, that's true. I just hope they don't close the location near me at least.
I know. What have you personally, is there like a bunch of them near you or just one?
Um, there's really one. I mean, I probably drive another 15, 20 minutes, and that's probably another one. But Wendy's over the last, in fact, come to think about it, over the last 2 to 3 years, you used to see them all over the place years ago, but you don't really see them that much anymore.
I know. They're few and far between, but it's so funny now thinking also the other day, like offer like baked potatoes, like steakhouse type of situations.
Mm. I mean, at least they did give you an option to try and, get away from a burger if you wanted to. One thing I would
Exactly.
love to see fast food restaurants come back with is salads. 'Cause there
Yes.
are some people that do try to eat healthy and they don't
Oh
have a lot
yeah.
of time. So it kind of would be nice to have those salads come back.
Exactly. Even if the salads aren't the most healthy, like it can be the chicken tender ones where it's like
Mhm.
blue cheese and they might even have more fat than a burger and stuff, but at least they're a different option.
Exactly. Exactly. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. I don't think they're going out of business. I just think that they're doing some restructuring from what I see.
Yeah. Yep, they definitely are. Um, okay, well, I thought this was so interesting and so not anything that I am truly uh would ever put my money towards, but Logan Paul auctioned his 1998 Pikachu Illustrator Pokemon card mounted in a diamond-studded gold necklace for 16.49 million, setting a new Guinness World Record for the most expensive Pokemon card sold at an auction. Now the auction began February 15th, 2026 with a starting bid at $13.3 million. Solari Capital founder AJ Scaramucci purchased the card and hand delivered it to the auction house the next day. The sale broke the Guinness World Record for the most expensive Pokemon card. The second record Paul has broken with the same card. He originally bought this Pikachu card in Dubai for 5.2 million in 2021, and at the time that set the Guinness record. So this card is graded Gem Mint 10 by PSA, the only one of the 53 known copies to receive that grade. So I guess my question to you is, would you spend $16.4 million on a Pokemon card?
Absolutely not. But but somebody has money to just spare. They have money to burn. So hey, more power to you. I could think of a lot of things I could do with that 16.4 million. Um, Pokemon card doesn't come to mind though. What about you, Meryl?
Not at all. I'd rather buy like 5 houses, like a house for my family and friends. And if anyone's interested in this story, we watched a really cool TV show about that the auction house Goldin that this was through. It's like Goldin. And I think he's based in Philly, but it's so interesting the things that basically he would auction off and he would fly to collectors' houses and like make offers on it, and then they would sell things. And so they actually have I forget what it's called, but it's like if you just type in Goldin Logan Paul, you'll find it. But they had Logan on for a whole episode, and so it shows him thinking about this and like, do I want to sell this Pokemon? He comes in wearing it in a gold necklace, and like when he goes out and wears it, he has to have security around because it's so expensive, and obviously like that's millions of dollars right there on his neck that someone can just rob him blind and take. So it's a really interesting, it was cool to see the sale and then to have seen the television episode about it and kind of know like the wheelings and the dealings more.
Wow, interesting. Very interesting. Now, is that something that's on like on a streaming channel or
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's on a streaming channel. We really liked it. Like I'm not super into auctions, but it was really cool to see all the different collectors and just how much things go for. There was one guy that collects like those little Pez dispensers, and he has like every Pez dispenser ever created, and just seeing these people have to part with like their memorabilia when some people need to buy a house or want to make some money and they want to sell their things for some fast cash.
wow, that's very interesting.
It's really cool. It's really, really cool. Yeah. Yep.
Hmm. Well, maybe I'll use that 16.4 million to buy some Pez dispensers, right?
Exactly.
Well, here's an interesting topic. More US professionals are embracing extended career breaks.
Ooh.
So, a growing number of U.S. professionals are embracing extended career breaks, often called mini sabbaticals. Well, I'm just butchering this. Uh, sabbaticals or adult gap years. Okay, I never heard that term before. Basically, to combat burnout, recharge, and reevaluate their life paths. These breaks, lasting weeks or months, are increasingly used for travel, skill building, or personal reflection, with 62% of employees having taken a career break at some point. So, the purpose for this is being that beyond traditional reasons like childcare, breaks are increasingly taken for mental health, professional or personal renewal. The range from structured company approved sabbaticals to quitting jobs to take months off. Wow, this is
Whoa.
pretty interesting.
That's really interesting. I feel like it should be like we should every couple of years like have a mandatory break just to rest and rejuvenate.
hmm And the thing is, especially with mental health being something that's being discussed more and more, there's a lot of people that are prioritizing their health over their company. And sometimes companies will help you by giving you that time off, and sometimes they won't, and you have to make a decision. Because when it's all said and done, you drop dead today, there'll be an ad out for your position a few days later, and you probably have someone hired within a week or two.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you really got to prioritize yourself.
I pretty much just give myself a forced sabbatical every 7 years and just quit whatever job I'm in. every couple of years, I'm just like, and this has been enough. Like, and it's funny because it just follows a pattern anyway, where it feels like every 7 or 8 years, I'm just ready for a whole new like identity shift anyway. So maybe there's something internal about our clocks that just, like we force ourselves to reflect and take a sabbatical. And yeah, I think it's so important.
Oh yeah, and the other thing too, Merle, is that work burnout is real. A lot of people get burnt out from work, and there's a lot of people that go to jobs they absolutely hate. And I've been in that situation before, and it's not a good feeling. It's like you literally feel sick when you just think about
I
having to go to
know.
this place, and it takes a toll on you, and it takes away from your loved ones because even if you're there, you're not really there because your mind is so occupied and stressed out about work. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, you have to think about yourself first. And you have to do stuff that's going to make you happy. Unfortunately, most people have to work. There's no way around that.
yeah, of course.
You don't want to be miserable. You really don't want to be miserable going into a job.
Exactly. And like I know not everyone has it is definitely a privilege to be able to be kind of picky about where you do work.
Mhm.
But when I look at places, I really look at like who would be my supervisors or who would be my peers. And I'm like, if they don't seem like they have a good life, like if they're not traveling, if they're not having time with their family, then it's like, okay, you could see what your life might be like. And that is a place that I probably wouldn't apply for or work at if like if I interviewed at a place and it didn't seem like the people had like full holistic lives, I probably wouldn't like put myself there. But I know a lot of people don't have like a choice, but yeah.
This documentary about overcoming life's darkest moments isn't on Netflix, and that's exactly why you need to watch it. Look, I've been through my share of tough times, and I'm tired of watching feel-good fluff that barely scratches the surface. My Silver Lining documentary on lrodtvnetwork.com is different. It's raw, real, and completely transformative. This isn't some glossy production designed to make you feel better for 30 minutes. It digs deep into what it actually takes to turn your pain into purpose. The storytelling is so powerful that mainstream platforms wouldn't touch it. But that's their loss and your gain. You get exclusive access to stories that will genuinely shift your perspective on adversity. I watched it 3 times because each viewing revealed something new about resilience. The convenience of streaming it on lrodtvnetwork.com means you can pause, rewind, and really absorb these life-changing insights. Don't settle for surface-level inspiration when you can access something that actually moves the needle. Head to lrodtvnetwork.com right now and discover the documentary everyone's missing.
That's true. I mean, that's true. And you have to and I know we talked about this before on some previous episodes, but I really tip my hat off to the younger generation. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, I'm from the generation where, you start a new job and you find out maybe a few weeks or a few months later that they lied through their teeth about the job. So
Yeah. Yeah.
just, you figure, okay, I don't want to jump around. I'm gonna try and make this work and whatever. Well, the younger generations now, once they figured out that you lied to them, they're gone. You know,
Yeah.
they don't even give notice. They're out of there. And I tip my hat on that
Me
because,
too.
if I had to do it all over again, I would probably make those same decisions because we've all, every one of us have had one or more jobs that we just purely hate and just made us miserable to go to work. And it takes a toll on you. You look back like, wow, why did I stay there so long?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had jobs before that I would feel, like, sick to my stomach if I took 2 days off, and I'm sure we can all relate where it almost like, all these emergencies and everything would always happen when I went on vacation, and I'm just, like, at
Mhm.
the end, I'm like, "I feel like you guys are in a weird, even unconscious way, like, punishing me for being away," and I'll never, like, be made to feel bad again about taking days off that you deserve, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So I hope this becomes a real good something that catches on with a lot of companies because you got to have that balance. And you know what? Sometimes you just need to get away, um, even if it's not for physical reasons, for even mental reasons, just to clear your mind and reset.
Yeah. Exactly. I really feel like I love the companies that I see sometimes where they will give days off for you to like volunteer or they really encourage their people to go out and like see a different country. And to me, if I was a boss, I'd be thinking very like long term where I'm like, okay, I want my people to have a well-rounded view of the world and to feel like they've actually got to expand and see different cultures and everything. Like if you're in it to win it, I feel like that's the type of person you want.
That's true. That is so, so true. So if your job allows you to take a sabbatical and you got some funds in the bank, I say do it.
Exactly. If I was a leader, I'd force them. I'd say, "Get out of here, you loser." And then I'd throw money at them. Okay, well, my last one, speaking of leadership, so funny, I love this one. In an interview, I'm sure that a lot of us have seen by now, Obama just very casually, they asked him, "Are aliens real?" I forgot what the second question was. Basically, they asked him, yeah, are aliens real? He said, I haven't seen them, but they're not being kept in Area 51. Or no, he said they're real. They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in Area 51. There's no underground facility that they're in, unless there's like this enormous conspiracy and they hid it from the president of the United States. Obama responded nonchalantly. Now everyone choked on his first words. Obviously, they're real, and he had to answer a lot of questions the next day. So he basically clarified and said, like, everyone calm down. I'm saying that there probably is life on different planets, but I'm not saying like I'm hanging with the Martians or anything. But he said he was trying to stick with the spirit of the speed round when answering that question. But he definitely had to clarify his response. And of course, he goes into a very like, which I love, Obama type situation where his answer was statistically, the universe is so vast that the odds are good that there's life out there.
Now, I'm
I mean,
gonna
he definitely knows something we don't know.
I'm gonna keep my responses very short because I love UFOs.
I know you
So
do. I know
I
you
can
do.
I can talk about this for hours, but I'm gonna be real short.
Yeah, I feel like my conspiracy, like my like music conspiracy, is like your UFOs, where like we can really go off the deep end if pushed.
I personally think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think he let something slip out by accident that he didn't maybe
Yeah,
say.
totally.
And I would not be surprised. And again, this is just me. There's no proof of this, but I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe he was contacted and say, "Hey, Mr. President, you want to clean that up?" Now, did he clean it up within that? Because I didn't see the episode. Did he clean up?
No, no, it was afterwards because the interview aired, and then everyone was like, "What?" Now, of course, people are like, there are no mistakes. the world is a stage, and basically this was Obama, like, he's a smart man and there are no coincidences, and that he was priming us for, like, they've been planting little seeds all along, which I'm sure you get very excited about, but like all the movies, all the everything's like they're really priming us for some type of alien touchdown, which I feel like a lot of us are ready for at this point. Like, just
Yeah.
bring it out already.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he got a phone call saying, "Hey, Mr. President, you shouldn't have said that. Can you clean
Exactly.
it up a little bit?" Because if you think about it, and I'm actually glad you said what you said. I remember this one famous video, and this is a clip of these air fighters, chasing this UFO. First, the government didn't comment on it. They were like, "Oh, this is fake. We're not going to comment." And then all of a sudden, they released that video and they stated that it's a real video, um, that is a real unidentified object, and that was about it. So it's like stuff is starting to trickle out more and more. And you
Yeah.
get to the point where, you used to be looked at as crazy when you talked about this in a professional
Yes.
scene.
Yes.
Now, you're starting to see elected leaders talk about it. And you kind of wonder if they are setting us up for, you know, maybe one day we find out that, okay, you go outside and there's this big spaceships over half the city,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's just the kind of thing that when people said, like in 2016, if you said aliens are real, I mean, a lot of people, a lot of us are open minded for that, but a lot of people are like, you're nuts, you're crazy. Um, and maybe there is a possibility that Obama was just, he's not the president anymore. So he's kind of off the clock and just shooting the shit with someone and just saying
Mhm.
normally, yeah, they're real. He's not like the president speaking to media right now. But I still think, I don't know. I still believe that he's like so smart, and with every interview, there is some type of agenda, and like he's like brilliant when it comes to knowing what he is saying and isn't saying. That I think that this was like intentional, just a little drop of like information.
Really?
But I'm also highly skeptical and paranoid. Yeah.
Now, you know what? You never know because, you know, when he made that, that mistake or gaffe or however you want to call it, it was kind of surprising. But, you kind of wonder maybe that was a purpose, purposely placed incident. Because
Yeah.
sometimes, the government may be testing the waters, thinking, okay, let's just let this slip out. Let's see how it's received. So let's see what the
Exactly.
reaction is from the public.
Yep. If it was some other presidents, I'd be like, no, they're just talking out of every which way. But Obama, I'm like, you're dealing with the master here. So I don't know. Either way, it's just so nice hearing him speak, and just whatever your politics are, he's just like he calms me down, and I feel like he just brings this level of like sanity.
You
Even
know,
if he's talking about aliens.
the interesting thing about what you just said, I remember the horrific tweet that was put out about him, about Obama and his wife, putting their heads on apes.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
And the classy way, that he handled it, him and his wife, it kind of reminds us is what we missed in the office,
Yeah, yes. Yep.
because he would have been well in his right to respond very harshly to it, but he didn't dip low. He didn't dip low. I mean, it was definitely a clown show, but he didn't really go into it like he could have.
Exactly.
So
Now it would be that we're taking over the aliens, and it's going to be the biggest beautiful alien we've ever seen. We have our own spaceships that are going to be the most beautiful spaceships ever. So yeah.
that is true. That is true. So I tip my hat off, and I'm waiting for headlines to come out. Alien ship finally identifies themselves.
Yep. I tip my tinfoil hat.
There you go. Now, of course, I won't be like the movie um, Independence Day and be standing on the building, trying to greet them. I won't be doing that, but
Exactly. Yeah. I'll just be like, I don't know. I'll just be like, I knew this all along.
there you go. Well, my last topic, um, it's kind of an interesting topic. Um, American farmers are aging out with no successors. So, American agriculture is facing a critical demographic crisis as farmers age, with more producers over the age of 75 than under the age of 35, leaving many operations without successors. High input costs, low commodity prices, and skyrocketing land prices make it difficult for new farmers to enter, while existing families struggle with debt, leading to increased bankruptcies and consolidations by larger corporate entities. Some of the key factors include the average age of the U.S. farmer, which is approximately 58, with a significant lack of younger producers to take over operations. Some of the financial pressures include high costs of equipment, land, and input, combined with low volatile prices for crops, have left many farms, particularly smaller family operations, struggling to stay afloat. What do you think about that, Meryl?
I mean, I don't blame them, especially what you said about like the corporate entities taking over. I think the mixture of like AI and just outsourcing things to machinery, along with corporate greed, and also just like the hard physical labor of farming itself, and like the actual labor itself too, and the uncertainty of it. I could understand why it wouldn't be something that people would want to carry on into their families, and a lot of times it's like would just be easier to sell the land or sell the family farm and not have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're starting to see, well, it hasn't just started. It's been going on for some time where, a lot of farmland has been turned into, malls, housing communities, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And those areas aren't being replaced. And, to run a farm right now, there's so many things you have to deal with. There's things out of your control, like, the tariffs and stuff like that, the tariff wars. Those are things that you can't control, but it directly affects your business, your livelihood. And then I think that's coupled with the fact that, a lot of the younger generations don't really like the hard labor type stuff anymore. So
Yeah.
farming may not be one of the top things that most young people want to get into these days.
Unless it's like YouTube live stream farming. Unless it's aura farming, but I also think too, I feel like we are losing like the heartland of America, because basically when I think of America, I do think of like farmers, teachers, firemen, police officers, nurses, all these jobs. And I really do think like whoever the best candidate will be one day will be someone that kind of brings the glory back in all these jobs, because I really do think that's what like the heart of America is, and we're definitely losing it. And I think farmers are so, no matter where they come from or what the situation is, I think it's such like a important job and such a wonderful job that it needs to be like given more respect and more prestige.
I agree. And, I think it's one of those areas where, you know, legislation needs to happen to kind of help the farmers out a little bit. And I don't think that the industry does a great job of, maybe making it appealing to younger people because of
Yeah.
that's in place. And, it's one of those things where we don't want to lose our farmers in this country,
Right.
because what happens is that now you're going to rely on sources outside the United States for your food supply. And we've all seen what happens when you're too dependent on things outside of the country. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the answers are, but I do know it's something that definitely does need to be addressed.
Exactly. For many reasons, I think one of the things we can do too is just to go to as many like farmers markets as possible and check into local co-ops, and if people have a farm by them. And it just happens to be like that's a lot of times where the best tasting food is, like the more the family farms and everything. So even though I understand we're talking more about like the larger agricultural ones, like I get that, but in terms of just like the local farms and farmers markets, I think it's so good to support those when you can.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because, like I said, I'm not a big fan about, getting stuff from overseas as far as food, because it's kind of nice to have your food local.
Exactly.
I'll
Yeah, yeah,
determine
yeah.
this. So,
Yep.
like I said, I don't know what the magic bullet is, but hopefully they figure it out.
I know, I know. It's when we think about like crops being sprayed by just like a huge machine and everything too. It's like, yeah, we need we need the aliens to come in and help us with the whole overhaul.
That is true. That is true. I will be first in line to watch that too.
Me too.
Well, Meryl, what do you have coming?
I'm going to promote one coming up at a club called Flappers in Burbank, which I love so much, right near me. It's Tuesday, March 10th. The show is called Celebrity Drop-ins. So, so they couldn't get anyone, so I'm performing there. So basically, it's Tuesday, March. Shows you the kind of caliber of things happening. Tuesday, March 10th, Flappers in Burbank.
Nice, nice. Well, you're the celebrity there. They saved it for you, Meryl.
I'm either the celebrity or the drop in, or I should be a dropout. I don't know. But it's always so funny when they like announce these shows and then you could tell people are traveling from all over and they're like, oh my God, who's the celebrity going to be? And then when you show up, they're like, who? Oh, well, we'll win them over one way.
There you go. Well, everyone, make sure that you stop by and support Meryl. She would love to see you.
I so would. And I want to talk about America's Next Top Model. If anyone cares about it, please message me because I want to talk about it all day long.
There you go. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I want to thank everyone for watching us and listening to us. And please continue to share and let people know who we are and how to find us. I'm Lawrence Elrod.
I'm Meryl Climo.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This documentary about overcoming life's darkest moments isn't on Netflix, and that's exactly why you need to watch it. Look, I've been through my share of tough times, and I'm tired of watching feel-good fluff that barely scratches the surface. My Silver Lining documentary on elrodthenetwork.com is different. It's raw, real, and completely transformative. This isn't some glossy production designed to make you feel better for 30 minutes. It digs deep into what it actually takes to turn your pain into purpose. The storytelling is so powerful that mainstream platforms wouldn't touch it. But that's their loss and your gain. You get exclusive access to stories that will genuinely shift your perspective on adversity. I watched it 3 times because each viewing revealed something new about resilience. The convenience of streaming it on elrodthenetwork.com means you can pause, rewind, and really absorb these life-changing insights. Don't settle for surface-level inspiration when you can access something that actually moves the needle. Head to elrodthenetwork.com right now and discover the documentary everyone's missing.